It is time once again. This is something to talk about from Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. And today we're going to be talking about the Kitsap Regional Library's new look. Our weekday program, usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, is sponsored by Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island, which offers assisted living and independent living. They're in the process of finalizing that, and they currently have memory care up on Rolling Bay. To schedule a tour or learn more, call 360-689-4314. And we would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the ancestral homeland of the Suquamish tribe, the Coast Salish people known as the people of the clear salt water, who have lived on these waters of the Salish Sea since time immemorial. We honor them and we are grateful for their hospitality. And thank you, Tressa Johnson, for joining us once again. We learned today that these get-togethers are widely appreciated. So thanks for taking the time to put them together. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the library's new or nearly about to launch website.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am very excited about this. The library's new website has been in process for about 5 years, asking ourselves as a system what we like about our website, what we didn't like, what we were hearing from patrons, and then going out to see what products were available to libraries, looking at their what we could do with them, and then actually making the choice and personalizing it to Kitsap Regional Library. And here we are today. The grand launch is, I believe, May 3rd or 4th, but we are making it available this month as a soft launch. We're getting a lot of feedback from patrons and staff, making changes as we need to in response to those comments and questions. So there'll be some changes between now and May 3rd, but I'm excited today to give you a little tour. One of the things that I really like about this website is I find it very easy to navigate. It's very visual. It's a little bit, fills more of my screen than the current one. And it highlights book lists and movie lists, which I really enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. So here, let me see if I can hide some things on my screen so that it's not full for me. Okay, so here we are at our current, or as I'm increasingly thinking of it as our old website. What I would like to do, we're going to start here, and there are 2 things on my agenda. Actually, 3 things, I guess. First thing is I want to do a very brief tour of the website, just to get that a broad overview of what is there. I'm going to try very hard not to click anything, just so we know what topics are there. Most of the questions that we've gotten from patrons has been about the login process or the registration process. So that's the second thing that I want to cover. We'll go through that process, and then my focus really is on your questions. So instead of putting together a large presentation of what I think you want to know, I would like to hear what you would like to know, and we'll explore it together. So we're at krl.org. I'm at krl.org, and on the launch, May 3rd or 4th, as I said, when you go to the website, you will no longer see these images. This website will no longer be available. So, but for now, I'm gonna click on where it says sneak peek. And here we are. This is the new site. And you can see already it fills your screen. I feel like it's just bigger. The website is organized into visually into strips across the screen. So this first broad overview that I'm going to do will be just that. We'll look at the top, that top row or strip, the second strip, and just kind of quickly go down. I'll be talking a little bit, but you'll be able to read generally what we have up here. So I'm going to start at the top. And okay, I said I wasn't going to click, but I think I'm going to click because this arrow will open something up while keeping us on the web page, which is what I want to do. So here, hours and locations. There's several things available. Help. So this just lets us know what kind of support the library has for us as we learn to use the website or want to know something about the library. I really like, we can see what will be, I'm not logged in here, but the information that we'll have in our accounts. And then on the second strip here, there are 3 main areas that we can explore. Oh. I love this by topic. Look at this. This is so deep. And I'm particularly excited about in demand. You can look at what's new at the library. And there are a few ways we can do that, which we'll talk about later. Award-winning staff picks. And then hopefully word will get out. We have a book group kits, Discover Pass, perfect for summer with a backpack with binoculars, and it's really exciting. Ukuleles, telescopes. Okay, so that's browse. And here are all the services that we offer. At the library, personalized services. We do have a home delivery service if you are temporarily or long-term at home and unable to get to the library yourself. We do provide this service, and we provide it on Bainbridge. And then classes and events. Here we go. So this is where most of us would be, I think, unless we have grandkids over. This next strip is, I just want to point out, we invite your feedback. You're always welcome to contact me, but you can contact the library directly and let us know if you have a question, a comment, if something is happening and you're not, you know, you have questions about it, or if you like something, don't like something, you can let us know. And here we've got events. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Get a card. So I love this. Just right now, new titles just arrived, kids, teens, and you can see all these book covers. Well, I'm a librarian. I get excited about these things, but it's exciting, right? Staff picks. So these are essentially book lists. You can click on them and learn more about the items. Your account will also have the ability to create book lists for yourself. And you can share them with others if you'd like. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, this is nice. It's like browsing the stacks.
It is.
But you can do it online.
Exactly. It just is so, I feel like it's much, it's just more clear. It feels like a smoother experience to me. You know, we have got, this is one of the best kept secrets. I think Artist Works. With your library card, you can take music lessons. We've got everything from mandolin to drums to voice, ukulele, violin, fiddle, all different kinds of music. It's pretty exciting. We've got news, and featured here is our new Kitsap Regional Library Director, Jason Driver. And Reed had him on something to talk about, did a wonderful talk with him a couple weeks ago. And here we go. Now down at the bottom, there's an awful lot of information. And this is typical. Many websites, if you're looking for information, the top right or the bottom ribbon along the bottom of the website tend to have just a tremendous amount of information. And so I just want to point that out, that there's quite a bit here. And again, a website feedback button. Okay. That's the overview. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. So now what I want to do is register an account or log in. So I'm going to go to the upper right, click on log in my account, and then here we go, log in, register. Now, the first time that you log into your account, you do need to use your 14-digit library card number. The username that you have currently that works with our current site will not work here. So you do need your 14-digit library card number. If you don't have your card and aren't sure what that number is, feel free to give us a call, 206-451-5050, 451-5050. We're happy to help you with that. So I'm going to sign in here, 703. I'm reading. I've got my little cheat sheet here. Okay. Log in. Okay. So we'll set up your account. This is new with this website. Let's continue to account setup. Okay. So this is, I'm creating an account for Fiverr Rabbit. Bonus points if you recognize that name. So this is a patron in the library, a patron in quotes, that already has a library account. So, and its email address here, let's make sure that we read, you'll get, there's a little explanation of why we want your library, or why we want your email address. Date of birth. So you don't have to include this information. If you can click see any incorrect information. Oh, we're supposed to, I think they changed that. Last time I was here, I could change that here. You can remove the date of birth from your online account. The reason we ask for it is in honor of a 1998 law, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, that limits what someone can do online if they are under the age of 13. So if you are under the age of 13, you won't have the full functionality of the website. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So if you would prefer not to include your date of birth or your month of birth, not a problem. There are some things that you won't be able to do, but we'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to click continue. Creating a username. So when I created a username for myself, I came across a problem. It told me that my username was already taken, which was strange because it's my first name and middle and last initial, which is pretty unique. It turns out one of the things that we like about this company, it's called BiblioCommons, is that they enable communication among all public library users that use their system. That enables people who want to rate a book, similar to the way one would with Goodreads. You can rate a book and make that public for people around the country that also use, whose libraries use this system. You can create a book list and make it public to people who use the system. You can see book lists from folks at other systems around the country that have chosen to make their book lists public. You can also keep things private, which we'll talk about. But because of that system, the username that you create has to be unique among those millions of usernames. The reason my name didn't work is because I have a library account at Seattle Public Library. They use BiblioCommons, and I already, when I created my account there, I used my preferred username. So if that happens to you, they will make a suggestion for another username. I think they just suggested adding a number. For this particular account, well, you can see someone else has this username. So can I do that? No. Okay, how about seriously? Okay. How about what was Fiverr's birthday? 59, I think. Fiverr 59. Nobody's gonna know that. I know. Oh, wow. Okay. Watership 1. There we
Now
go.
we know the answer to your question of
Yes.
where Fiverr Rabbit came from.
That's exactly right. Yes, yes. It's out of the bag. Shoot, I'll have to think of another mystery literary reference for my next display here, my next talk. Okay, the terms of use are here, and let's just say that we read them. I accept the terms, complete account setup. And there we go. So let's continue to my account. So some of the things I want to point out on the right here, additional settings. I have a preferred browsing language. We do have the choice of Spanish or English. You can set your preferred library locations. And what this will do is when you place a hold on an item, Bainbridge Island will always be the location where you'll be picking up. Now, those of us who live on Bainbridge Island that pick up our items at this library may not be aware that you always had to choose a library to pick up your items, but because Bainbridge is at the top of the list alphabetically, the default was Bainbridge Island. So if you lived in Paulsbo, picked up your items in Paulsbo, picked up your items in Silverdale, you always had to make that change. With this system, you do not need to make the change. You just one time, you set up your pickup location, your preferred location, and that's it. You can also, as I said, there are public portions of the website, so you can choose to hide things. Honestly, I can't answer much about this. I think any questions about this, I'm not really sure what they are deeming offensive, but I don't want to see it, so save that. And now let's go over to left-hand side, borrowing history. So we do not, the library, many people know the library does not automatically keep a borrowing history. The reason for that is that the U.S. Patriot Act had put us in a position, put public libraries in a position where if they requested information about a library account, we were obligated to provide it, and we're also under a gag order not to tell the patrons. So libraries around the country, including Kitsap Regional Library, decided at that time and continue to make this decision to not keep any information other than you know, your basic account information so we can contact you, but to not keep your reading history automatically. Some people appreciate that and some people wish that we did it, but you do have the option of enabling. So if you had already opted in with our old website, you will need to enable the borrowing history here. It will not cross over. If your reading history that you had, if you had already opted in and you had a reading history list on our old site, it will import to this account, to your account on the new website. What will not import is any items that we no longer have in our collection. So if a book gets dropped in the bathtub or left in the park, or you know, coffee spills on it and we take it out of the collection, if it's no longer readable, so if there is an item on your reading history that has been removed from our collection, it will not remain on your reading history when you import the information to this site. So import list items. You can, on our older or our current website, you can create lists of books and movies. I had enabled that on that website. I really enjoyed it. I had different groups. I think one of them was quilting, one of them was embroidery, another, I don't really do these things, but I like looking at it. And so I decided to import my list items over to this website. Two important things to know. One is that, similar to the borrowing history, if an item has been taken out of our catalog, it will not import. And two, while I had multiple lists in our current on our current website, my account in the current website, when I imported everything, it imported into one list, one grand list. And unfortunately, there's nothing we could do about that. That's kind of the way they import, but it's good to know that. One thing I forgot to say, if you have not opted in to browse borrowing history up to this point, but now that you know that you want to, as soon as you click this button, and actually I will do that. I'm going to click this button. My new information has been saved. Oh, I thought they moved this too. There used to be a message that the information, maybe it's here under the I. Let me take a look. Nope, there used to be a information just saying that we may be obligated to share this with legal personnel, or law personnel, but I guess they're not, or maybe they're doing it elsewhere. Privacy defaults.
We didn't read all that fine print when you just signed in to begin with. Maybe it's in there somewhere.
Oh, I'll bet you're right. Yep, I'll bet it's in there. This, I appreciate. You do have the option to keep all of your information and your lists private. But if you are someone that enjoys sharing these things, you can opt out and start to share with other readers, other library card holders around the country. So I'm going to click save. Okay. And I'm going to go back up to the top. Here's Watership 1. And so now we can look at, actually, I wanted to see my settings because I don't really want to change. I don't really want to keep my borrowing history. So here is everything I can do in my account. I can update all of this information. Saved searches, we can talk about that if you would like. Here we go, borrowing history. I'm going to click on that and see if I can opt out. There we go. I am going to, here it is. I'm going to click out and save the changes. So there you go. You're not obligated to keep any of the decisions you make. You can change, which is also very nice. And here you have some shelves, feeds. We haven't learned about those yet. But if you have any questions, you can go in here. And I'm curious at this point, I think that most of us, when we do use the website, most of us want to find a book, either a title or an author, or we have an idea. There's a book we remember that we heard about, can't remember the title, we want to search for it. We can play with the catalog and the search function. We can also look more closely at the account and lists, shelf, profile. I mean, there is quite a bit here, and I want to ask you, I'm going to go back to the main page by clicking on the library icon here in the upper left. And I want to ask you, is there something specific, any questions about anything I've talked about, or is there something specific you were wondering?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have a library card. Yeah. And and so if I go to make an account, I have no idea what my password was. Did I have to do a password when I first got my library card when I got here?
So yes, so when you first get your library card, everybody sets up a password, and then we all promptly forget it. So you are welcome to call the library 451-5050, and we can update it for you. We can't see what we're typing. I always worry about making mistakes. We can't see what we're typing. I think, well, let me see.
So what is normally, if I would have gotten the card and set it up, would it have been like my email address, or who knows?
You know, often we suggest the last 4 digits of your phone number.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's short. It's easy for us to remember, but we don't really know other people's phone numbers anymore. So even though it is something other people might have, it's not something that we memorize.
So I could go, when this thing comes up, I can go in and see if that works.
Yeah, test it out. And if it doesn't, just give us a call, or next time you're at the library, stop by the desk. We're happy to help with that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Sheila?
Yes, Tressa. Any change as far as the page that has my holes on it and full list?
No. Well, it will look different, but let's take a look at that. Since we have an account, I'm going to go log in. Watership 1, there it is. So I'm going to click on the arrow, and let's look at on hold. So this gives you, actually, you know what? I'm going to turn on this is good. I'm going to turn on single click holds because I really like that feature. So you don't, it's so much faster. I pick up on Bainbridge. I'm gonna save that. So
That's
let's,
great. So I can get my checkout before the rest of the people in my book group.
that's right. Find the book in the catalog and one click and you're on hold. Then you can get your book. So let's put a book on hold and see how it shows up on this list. I'm going to click explore new titles. And I will click on Soul Shift. It's just because it's the closest to my cursor or to my hand there. Place hold. Great, I'm number 3 in line. Now let's look at the hold list, my hold lists again. Go to Watership 1, click on hold. Okay, so I have one item, but it's not ready. Ooh, this is nice. It will tell you over here on the left. And I assume when it comes in, it will say ready. Over here, so well, first, Sheila, I want to, before I go any further into in the holds action, does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah, I
Okay.
believe so. It doesn't, if it came out on ready, that would be the equivalent of a poll list.
I don't, okay, so the pull list is something different than when it's on the hold shelf. Correct?
The poll list is, it's on the whole shelf. Yeah, it's on the whole shelf. Yeah, it's on the shelf.
That's
Oh, no.
why I asked,
No, it isn't. I'm
because,
sorry, no, it hasn't been pulled yet.
right.
Pull it.
So I want to, that's a very good question. And I would like to put a pause on that question only because that it's verbiage in that is, well, it's okay. So I don't know what it's going to look like in this catalog yet. And so I'm afraid if I will use maybe it won't say pull list. Maybe it will say something else. I do not know. However, there will be some indication here, yes, of where it is in the process. If it is being sent to us from a different library system, if it has arrived, if it's on the hold shelf, and if the item is on the shelf and we haven't taken it yet and put it on hold for you on the hold shelves, there will be verbiage there. I don't know if it'll say pull list or something else. I don't know, but okay. We will have that information there, I'm certain. I just don't know what the words will be. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry, it took me a while to get there, but thanks for your patience.
Does this library system that you have now that's coming up, is that going to give me books out of the Seattle library system as well, or do I have to go out and get that card again as well?
Such a good question. No, the two systems remain separate. We are contracting with the same service. So our websites look very similar, not exact, but we're both contracted with the same company that put our websites together. But the systems themselves are still separate. Okay. So do you have a Seattle library card already, Sheila?
I don't.
Okay, so you can go on their website and apply for an electronic card, an e-card. And with that e-card, you can download ebooks and audiobooks and magazines because we have a relationship with Seattle Public. However, if you check a book out, if you check something out from the Seattle Public Library, not from this website, but from their website, you have to return it to them because we are a separate system and we don't share resources in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you check out physical material from the library with an e-card or just online for Seattle?
No, thank you. Just online. If you wanted to check out a physical item, then you would go to a physical branch of the Seattle Public Library. And when you went to the counter to check it out, they would ask you for photo ID with your current mailing address, and then they would give you a physical card, which is what we do for their patrons as well. I want to look over here at.
Francis is one, so.
Oh, I'm sorry, Francis. Didn't see that. Hi.
Can you unmute, Francis? Francis, unmute.
Oh.
Please.
And thank you. A simple question. Where and what is the dashboard? Other sites mention dashboards and I'm never quite sure where it is or how to use it.
Francis, that's a really good question, because you're right. Lots of sites use that term. A dashboard is a main, and Reed, jump in if you have a better definition of it. But the dashboard I think of as where I want to start with my account. So I have a dashboard on this site. So I'm in the upper left. This is my username for this account, Watership1. If I open it up, let's go to my library dashboard. Click there. And this is kind of an overview of my account information. So I can see my borrowing. I can take a look at my my shelves. I can submit a suggestion. Oh, I get 8 suggestions. So this is, you know what, before I look at everything, I'm just going to do I'm going to scroll down a little bit. So this gives us, it's sort of an umbrella view of everything that my actions with the catalog. Does that make sense?
It does, but how did you get to it in the first place?
Okay, so in the upper right corner.
Right corner, okay.
There's that blue box, and I'm assuming you can see my hand there, my cursor.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, great. So I'm going to click on that little arrow. And when I look here, I can see just underneath the logout button,
okay,
my library dashboard. So there's an awful lot you can access, but that's where the dashboard is. It's right under the logout button.
Thank you. That makes great sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit like if you were to think of the metaphor of a dashboard on your car, it's like the high level information you need to know to make sure everything's working, or what you don't know, like, am I running low on fuel? How many fees do I owe the library? As an equivalent, and it's the judgment of whoever designed the website, what they think are the things you might most likely need to know. And then underneath those things, you could actually, you know, open up your hood and look to see what the status of your fan belt is. You could go to your shelf or something like that in these pages and dig down on more detail. So it's one of those terms of art which the internet is full of, where they use some other metaphor to try to describe something they have in their mind, and it's up to us to figure out what it is they meant.
Well, I like it. The other thing I was just going to mention is I was trying to apply for a Seattle Public Library card again. I had one for years, and since I moved over here, didn't use it. But they asked for a copy of your birth certificate or your driver's license. And I'm sort of paranoid about sharing that kind of thing online. And I know the KidSAP doesn't do that. So it's interesting to me that the Seattle Library, at least they did last year. I don't know if they're still doing it.
That is interesting. I don't know if they're still doing that. During the pandemic, I applied for library cards with a number of library systems, and periodically I was asked to photo or to send them a photocopy of my Kitsap Regional Library card and a photo ID with my address on it. So I just sent them the cover of my my driver's license. But birth certificate, that's surprising to me. I don't know, Francis.
Well, anyway, it was just kind of, I was just kind of taken aback because it wasn't required that much to join other library systems. And of course, it would be great to access the Seattle Public Library for at least the online material that's available.
Yeah. So before the pandemic, in order to, well, let me take a step back. When ebooks first became available to public libraries, all of the county libraries in the state of Washington agreed to honor each other's library cards. What that meant in practice, because my library card won't work with the system of a different library. So in practice, what that meant is you could go to a physical library and show them your Kitsap Regional Library card and a photo ID with your current mailing address, and you could get a library card from that system. And that agreement was made and that process was decided upon so that we could share our resources. The digital resources are so expensive. The cost of ebooks and audiobooks and digital magazines are just significantly higher for public libraries than they are for the public. So this and Kitsap Regional Library has a separate agreement with Seattle Public. Seattle is a city library, not a county library. When the pandemic happened, there was that's when the process started changing, because physical libraries were not open, and people still wanted to offer the service. So that's when they started asking for information, a verification of information, such as a scan of your library card or photo or that sort of thing. But each system, and I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly what the differences were, but I remember when I was signing up for these cards that each system was just a little bit different. Yeah.
Has there ever been a way, a campaign or a movement to allow the public to donate an e-book, electronic material?
The system is the system works so differently, and actually there, with a paper book, you buy a book and you read it until it falls apart. And so a library is allowed to purchase that book for the same amount of money that you would at a bookstore, and we can share it with other people. Eventually it will, it will fall apart and we'll have to take it out. But a digital book, an ebook, it will not degrade. I mean, essentially it will be available in perpetuity. So the publishers are very worried about maintaining their their rights over their item and wanting to sell it.
Their copyrights.
Yeah, and the way they have done that has been different over time. There is a case right now where publishers are suing a website, the Internet Archive, because during the pandemic, the Internet Archive was making ebooks available to borrow to people for free, which I mean, it's a long story, but publishers are very concerned because of the format and the way that a digital ebook works, that they will lose control over their product. So it's very it's challenging. It's challenging for libraries. It's challenging for readers, I think. Yeah, it's really changed the landscape dramatically.
So one of the things that you have shown us in the past are the streaming services and the magazines. I know there's a lot of interest we've seen in the presentation you did here a while ago on Curiosity Stream.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, are all those things going to travel over and show up in the new website?
Yes, they are. So I'm going to go over to the left-hand side of the screen here at the top, and I'm going to click on Browse. So you can see here this first column that we've got digital magazines, ebooks, we have video games, movies and TV, online resources. Let's click here and see if that is where we'll find those things. I'm going to go ahead and click. Research and learn. I'm going to scroll down just a little. By format, ebooks, audiobooks, and streaming video. I'm going to click on that. And here we go. Here's Curiosity Stream. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. So this is where you would access those items. So what I want to point out is, so the first thing that jumps out at me when I see this is that there are apps. You can also access, you're not obligated to install those apps. I'm going to, when I run my mouse over Curiosity Stream, you can see I get that hand. I'm going to click on that. And that takes me right to the resource. Okay, I'm going to go up here and click the back arrow because I don't actually want to watch a movie. There we go. And I think that is important. I haven't received that question yet, but I think it's a reasonable question because whenever I look at this page at other libraries, I wonder about how do I access the Overdrive catalog? That's all I want. Just click on that word and there you go. There you are.
Tom Robbins.
Yeah, so every month, this is a program that we started, gosh, I think a year ago. Every month there's one book, one title, an ebook that is available to everybody, and there's no limit. So most of the ebooks, or actually all the ebooks that we purchase, we're basically leasing them, and we're leasing how many people can access them at any given time. And that will determine whether we say we have 1 copy or 2 copy or 3 copies. Those are really just the number of people that can access that file at any given time. But this title, the book of the month, there's no waiting line. There's no holds. You know, everybody in Kitsap, all 200,000 of us could read the book at the same time. So it's, I love that. I love that idea. I mean, we do have that program, One Book, One Community. In different communities have basically the same program under a different name, where people a community delves into a topic, just as Bainbridge delved into Stamped. And so we're trying to passively support that idea.
And how are those books chosen? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay.
I do not know. I suspect that now the company that runs this service, the company that we contract with, Overdrive, my guess is that they make that decision. But I can't say for sure.
That's a nice feature.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I'm going to click my back arrow again. I did. Now we just have a few minutes. Any other questions?
I have one, a comment and a question. The comment is because of the invitation to to look the site over. I looked the site over to a degree. I've never looked the site over before. And I found features that I didn't know about. Not that I have questions about how to use them, but I just found things there that I didn't know existed. And if you go back to the landing page, I can show you one and ask a question about it. But I can't do it without you doing that because I can't remember the name of the thing.
So let's do that. Let's go back. I'm going to click on the icon here on
Yep.
the left.
Now just scroll all the way to the bottom.
Okay.
Hold it right. I think you passed it.
Oh.
Back up a little bit there. Was there one more back up? Libby. What is Libby?
Thank you. So Libby is an app that you can download for free onto your phone or your tablet. And through that app, you can download ebooks and audiobooks from the company Overdrive that provides us access. It is, it's really a wonderful tool, particularly if you are traveling. Instead of carrying a stack of books, you can put Libby on your phone or your tablet and check out and download and read books on your trip, that sort of thing. Or you can go on walks and listen to books through the app.
Excellent. I'll probably do that when I'm going my next trip.
There you go.
Oh.
Libby is a second generation Overdrive app. In other words, it was made after the Overdrive app, and many people find it a lot more user friendly.
Thank you.
Yes.
And it looks like maybe Francis has something to say too. Just unmute and you'll be ready to go. I am muting you in between, Francis, just because I'm hearing some background noise. So press unmute.
Oh, it kept muting. Coming from a newspaper background, I'm curious about how to access newspapers and our back editions. How far back can you do that? I'm thinking in terms of research. Libraries are such a good source of background material, especially historical material, whereas we used to have to rely on what we called morgues and hard copies that yellowed and became fragile quickly.
Yes, that is a great question, Francis. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top and I am going to go to services and is it here? No, it is not. It's under browse and over here under by topic, you can go to history or news. I haven't explored what they've put under every topic. So let's go to news. And so here are the newspapers that you can access with your library card. Now, just a note about accessing newspapers that you may appreciate. Newspapers in the digital realm, they are, I mean, I think historians will have just a really difficult time getting information from them because they don't actually digitize the paper. So you can't see the paper as it, where things sit on the page in relation to each other. You just see the item. And of course, somebody needs to maintain that archive, right? And older, I think older items are available with more or less, depending on the database that you're using. But here is where you would access those. Here you've got New York Times. I mean, this is great. Oh, this is only from the 1980s. Got the Seattle Times from 1985. Does that answer your question, Francis?
Yeah, and I don't know if you know, because the libraries have always been the resource we've all relied on for the archives and for maintaining
Mhm.
the back copies, et cetera. And before the internet and all of the new technology, they used to have a machine they copied, and you could sit down at this machine and scroll through, and you
Mhm.
saw images of the pages actually. And I
The old
wondered
microfiche.
what a library's doing with those.
So there's microfiche and microfilms. So microfilms were the round ones that you would could scroll through. Microfiche are the flat. Those are flat, and I think there's a different machine actually. And the Bainbridge Library has microfilm for Bainbridge, the Bainbridge Review. When does it start? I think 1926 to 2008. So you can access those issues. I think there are some holes in that collection, but we have them in the back. You can't check them out, but you can use them in the library. I know genealogists come and use use microfilm, our Bainbridge Review microfilm, or they get permission from another library, or we get permission, Kitsap does, from another library. They will loan us a microfilm so that the person could take a look at it at our library. Again, not for a checkout,
That's
but
great.
the Bainbridge branch has a very nice microfilm reader that's available to the public. It's really wonderful, and you can make copies, physical copies. You can, I believe you can make digital copies. It's been a long time since I've used that machine, but yeah, it's a fabulous resource. And depending on the how well the digitization process was done, the equipment, as well as the user, I'm sure. But some copies are more difficult to read than others. But
I'll just throw out that in a couple weeks' time, Larry will be back here to talk
yes,
about genealogy on Wednesday, the
Okay.
what,
26.
26th. So we'll talk more about that then, and probably take a look at some of the ways that people use the library as well as other resources for genealogical research. We're out of time, but I would like to mention that if you have questions or topics, I'm sure Tressa would love to hear what you might like to hear her explore, because she keeps doing these every month. We're so grateful. So you can email me at info@biseniorcenter.org, or I don't know, are you happy to take those questions at your library email?
Absolutely. Stop by the library. You can email me at tjohnson@krl.org, or on the website. You can scroll to the very bottom and click Our People, because that's one of the gems at the bottom of the screen, and you'll find me, and you'll find my my address there, an email address, or you can give me a call at 451-5050. There she is.